Hello, my name is Reese, and I'd like to start off by saying that the way I acquire and listen to music has changed a lot over the years. Although, historically, vinyl came first, then 8 tracks, then cassettes, then CDs, and now we have MP3s that you can buy on various sites over the internet. My history with music follows a different order. When I was a kid, I owned a relatively small collection of cassette tapes. Most of them were animated movie soundtracks or kids' songs. On the other hand, my parents owned mini cassettes that we would usually listen to in the car. Classic rock for long drives, a cappella Christian music on the way to church, some Celtic folk music here and there, and a little bit of some other stuff every once in a while. We continued to use cassettes for many years. Even a little while after CDs started getting popular, we were still using cassettes, at least partially because they were the only thing we could play in the car. After a while, I did end up with a handful of CDs, and my parents, who were bigger music fans than I was at the time, started a sizable collection of their own. Their collection started growing in earnest after they retired the old car and got a newer one that had a slot for CDs instead of a slot for cassette tapes. I was about 16 or so whenever I finally started getting into music. Once I did, I started amassing a large collection of CDs. My CD collection wasn't the only thing that was growing, though. My musical preferences changed as well, and expanded. While I kept a space close to my heart for classic rock and some of the music my parents and I listened to in years past, I found that I liked alternative rock and heavy metal as well, especially heavy metal. As I got older and my generation fell in love with iTunes and the digitally purchased MP3, I continued to collect CDs. To this day, I have not actually bought any music from iTunes. It's just not the way that I do things. Anyways, around the time I turned 20, vinyl started to gain popularity again. Since I knew my parents owned some pretty cool classic rock albums on vinyl, I decided to give them a spin. Soon after, I was going to flea markets, antique shops, and Goodwills looking for the classics. Genesis, Bob Seger, Bruce Springsteen, the Steve Miller Band, Kansas. I could go on and on. Honestly, though, Fleetwood Mac's Tusk, Joni Mitchell's Ladies of the Canyon, and Jethro Tull's Stormwatch are 3 of my absolute favorite finds. Later, my aunt added many records to my collection when she gave me the records she no longer had a turntable to play or even the desire to listen to. Since then, I have also bought a few newer albums that have been released on vinyl. After a while, I also stumbled upon some 45s that I really liked in some store somewhere, which led me to buying my first set of those and digging out my parents' 45s. I haven't really bought many 45s, but one of my favorites has to be this one. It has the song Sister Goldenhair by the band America on one side and their song Ventura Highway on the other. Somehow cassette tapes have made a very minor comeback recently, with some bands giving their new albums a limited release on tape along with other, more conventional formats. I haven't bought any of those, nor do I plan on doing so, but I have purchased some older albums on cassette from some of the same places I purchased vinyl records. Without a doubt, my 2 favorite finds in the cassette department are Fleetwood Mac's live album The Dance and Jethro Tull's album Aqualung. I never have listened to an 8-track, though. I've heard some bad things about them, but I might try to find one and listen to it. After all, how bad could it be?